Hey everyone, it's Kenneth the King. In this video, we're going to show you how we take an old dining room table that had been chalk painted and we're going to refinish it with a premium Schnubs kit. But the top we're going to stain an early American stain with a lacquer finish and then paint the bottom with an Emerald City Schnubs paint.
The first step we need to do is remove the old finish. You get a paint and epoxy remover and spread it all around with an old brush, wait about 15 minutes and then scrape it off with a putty knife. And you can see it just crackles it off and comes off so easily. I personally like the Jasco brand. I think it works the best, and you can just pick anything up at your local hardware store. Now you want to get the base ready to go. So the first thing you need to do is remove these feet because we don't want to paint those. We want to give them a different look. So after you remove the feet, then go ahead and dust everything off. Just make sure it's nice and clean before you start degreasing. And you take your Schnubs degreaser, deglosser, and you want to spray a very liberal amount over the area to be painted. Scrub it vigorously with a green Scotch pad, as if you're sanding it, but you don't have to sand, you just scrub it hard with that. Then you wipe it down with an old rag, or in my case, my daughter's old pajamas. And as it starts to dry, what you'll see is it's going to dull the finish, and that's when you know that it's ready to paint. Take your Schnubs paint and get at it. Apply the first coat with a roller or the brush, whichever you prefer. And the first coat doesn't need to have full coverage. What's great about Schnubs paint is that it has leveling properties, so it melds together as it dries, which helps eliminate any of these brush strokes. But don't try to cover it all in one coat because it will run, especially on these vertical surfaces. And as you can see, some of the wood will still show through, but again, that's the first coat and that's fine. You just want to get covered enough so that it gives you a good base coverage. Here's a little pro tip. Put your brush or your roller in a Ziploc bag while the first coat dries, which usually takes about 30 minutes. So now we're moving on to the top, and we need to sand off all of that old finish and any excess residue remover that was left over. So you take an orbital sander with 180 grit and just get rid of all that stuff. Since this is a veneer top, you got to be really careful not to burn through. You don't have a lot of wiggle room, especially if you have little scratches like this. So you just go really fast motions and don't bear down on the sander because you don't want to get through the veneer. So after you remove all the residue, then you sand it with 220 grit to sand smooth. And you also hand sand your edges to prep them for staining. Now that you're all sanded and smooth, you're ready to stain. Apply it with a rag or a brush. You want to make sure that you wipe any excess stain off of it. And on this table, we decided we want to do a little bit of a darker edge, so we have this dye that is going to dye the wood this darker color. Take your 220 grit sanding sponge and smooth out any of these rough spots to get ready for the second coat. You don't need to sand it very much, just a little bit to make it smooth. And now you're ready to apply your second coat. So this second coat provides the full coverage that you need and smooths everything out. And again, you want to be careful not to apply too much or it will drip and run. Now on the skirt of the table, there's no need to remove the paint around that skirt. You just have to hand sand with 220 grit to smooth it out, and then you can paint right over the top. Once your stain has dried, which usually takes about an hour, then you can spray your lacquer over the top, which is 2 coats of a pre-catalyzed lacquer, sponge sand in between your first and second coat. And then once everything is dry, you reassemble and you get to enjoy.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching that video. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comment section what other videos you'd like to see.